Hey guys, Nola here. So, Attack on Titan CGI has been even more controversial lately, especially after people started attacking the animators on Twitter. Yeah, don't do that. So today, I'm going to be giving my thoughts on how they use CGI in this 4th season so far, based on what I know in animation and film. So, do keep in mind, this is for episodes 1 to 6. I had written this video before episode 7. Feels bad, man. And the CGI in that episode was actually amazing. But I already wrote the script and I've already put work into this, so yeah. In the second part of the video though, I'll talk about why I thought episode 7 had much better CGI compared to the previous episodes. So, my question to you guys is, what did you think about the CGI? I think it's fine to discuss, criticize, and give personal opinions on this matter, but personally attacking the animators and not giving any other thought other than CGI equals bad probably isn't the best idea. These are just some nitpicks I had with the CGI. I still think the CGI isn't ruining the season. It just isn't as great as 2D animated Titans. Before we get into the video, if you enjoyed, consider giving it a like and subscribing. It helps my channel grow and it helps me produce more content. Other than that, let's just get into it. So I think I'll be breaking this down into multiple parts. The CGI itself, the animation, details, and other smaller things. Then we will jump into the brilliant episode 7's improvements. So I'm starting with the CGI itself. So what are my thoughts on the CGI? Well, I think the models themselves are really good. As you can see, any still shot of the Titans, they look great. Hardly any problems there. But once they start moving in certain scenes, then you start to notice. Here is one thing that's quite complicated and probably even harder to animate, especially in CG. For the Titans this season, the Beast Titan, Jaw Titan's main, and Attack Titans here all have the static look and lack of detailed movements due to the CG. Comparing this to previous seasons where the hair was much more detailed and had much more dynamic movements. Again, with the CG, not only is it CG, they're trying to replicate the 2D look, which isn't easy. With the time they're given, they weren't able to give enough attention to those smaller details. In the grand scheme of things, it doesn't bother me or ruin the experience, it's just a little thing I noticed. Now, moving over to the animation itself, a big advantage that 2D has over 3D is the ability to squash and stretch a character, giving it a very exaggerated effect which helps so much to show the height and power of the Titans. A noticeable comparison for this is the Beast Titan's throws from season 2 and this season. The animated one, as you can see, stretches and exaggerates its characters, while the CG has to stay more static. Don't get me wrong, both scenes are great, but the 2D has just a bit more of an advantage due to the endless possibilities that 2D animation offers. Next thing is they have to balance the frame rate of the CGI to the 2D animation, which is no easy task. This explains slower moving characters such as the Beast Titan looking a little choppy. If the frame rate was much higher, it would be noticeably more uncanny than the lower frame rate to match the rest of the episodes. Now, they still are able to give us some pretty amazing shots, such as the Beast Titan looking down at the Armor Titan and the Warhammer Titan summoning the hammer, giving us a crazy perspective. I don't have much of a problem with the CG itself. I think it's the movements that I find noticeable. This season, the Titans feel much lighter for me. They lack the weight from the previous seasons. I think this is apparent when we look at the Armor Titan especially. Now, I know what you're gonna say. Not all scenes in the previous seasons had weight to them, such as the Annie versus Eren fight scene. But it had much more anticipations to the actions, giving it much more weight, and more close-up and still shots, there's much more anticipation and easing in and out of the punches compared to this scene here, especially the Armored Titan. It was established that he was a heavy character and he was always shown with weight to his movements, charging up for his run, his punches having more weight to them, which we lose in the first episode of season 4. Luckily, I think they did a much better job in the 7th episode of Attack on Titan, adding more weight to the characters and more anticipation to the movements. But that was my main concern after watching the first episode. But at the same time, you can't have Reiner dodging cannonballs and rolling around if they added too much weight to him. Now that I've seen the 7th episode, I'm glad to say that I don't have a problem with that anymore. I'm not sure if I just got used to the CGI, or the effects animation got better, or they added more weight to the movements. The final little detail I wanted to bring up are the eyes from the previous seasons. In the previous seasons, the Titans either had human-looking eyes, giving it a much more human and scary look to it, or a menacing look with the light. This season, Reiner's eyes and Eren's Titan look to me a little lifeless. I think if they nailed the eyes, it would improve on the CGI so much. The eyes are what we look to when we watch a character after all. Well, I guess you can argue that they did that to show how dead Reiner and Eren are as characters, but I still prefer the bright eyes or the human looking eyes. I also want to bring up longer distance shots. Usually, in traditional cinema and even animation, the further the characters are, the less detailed and noticeable they should be. And for me, the Titans really stick out in long distance shots such as this. I'm sure they have different models based on the distance of the shot, but the Titans seem a little too sharp and detailed. And in the previous seasons with close-up shots of the Titans, the faces were really detailed and we had very detailed animations. But with the CG, the medium shots and the close-up shots look like they have around the same amount of details, which isn't a bad thing to say, but with 2D, having those options make the animation much more lively. Now again, I don't think the CGI ruins this seasons like others, I just find it a bit noticeable for me. There are still some beautiful animated scenes such as the Warhammer transformation, and some very well done CGI scenes such as Mikasa's scene and the Scout scene with Peak. I think one thing they improved on massively are the shots of the characters when they're in the Titan. They have a really cool ambient, warm lighting to it, which for me makes it seem much more lively compared to how Witt did it with the 2D animation. And the CG backgrounds look amazing for me, especially in Assassin's Bullet, when Falco is chasing Gabby and we get this beautiful background. The ambient lighting and out of focus shots just make it seem so much more cinematic, so pat on the back for that. Now on to episode 7. Episode 7 improved on the CG massively. There was a lot more exaggeration and anticipation to the movements of this episode. It was absolutely beautiful to watch, and they brought up more potential with the CG using much more crazy camera shots and action shots. And I believe the effects animation helped hide the CG even better this episode, such as when Eren ripped the arm off of Galliard. But yeah, I can't wait to see what they come up with future episodes, especially the crazy dynamic camera movements we got with the action scenes of this episode. But yeah, I think that's all I have to say. Again, it may sound like I'm complaining about the CGI, but these are just some small nitpicks I wanted to share with people. I still absolutely love the season. This season so far is still a 10 from me. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about the CGI. Let me know what you think they did better or what you disliked. I think this is an interesting topic and I want to hear your guys' opinions, so let me know down in the comment section below. But other than that, I have some exciting plans for my breakdown episodes, so I'll be changing the format in the next video. I think you'll guys really enjoy it, and I think it will improve the videos much more. So look forward to that, and I'll see you in the next video.